If you have back pain when you squat, today I'm going to tell you what is the best way you should be squatting, why we think you should squat like that, and how we came about, how we help people kind of transition from how they're squatting today versus how they should be squatting. And then ultimately, what are some things you need to watch out for as you're squatting so that you can recognize when you're starting to move into positions that are not going to be advantageous for you, so that not only can we help you get out of squatting painfully today, but we can also progress you into the future with higher weights, better performance, and lower risk of re-injuring or increasing pain again as you continue to squat into the future. So first, what I want you to know is we don't just think because we have some textbook idea of what is the best squat technique. We're not taking what we think is right and forcing it onto anybody. What we've actually done is over thousands and thousands of client encounters helping people squat pain-free. What we actually did was take somebody who is squatting like this, and we start to make changes in how they're moving and what their squat looks like. And it eventually gets to a point where when they squat, it doesn't hurt. Now, two things we do know. Good squats don't hurt, and bad squats do hurt. If given enough time, reps, and loading, less than optimum technique on a squat is going to turn into pain. Once you have that pain, we can easily start to identify what is a better position for you to be in because it doesn't hurt. So then what we did is we started recognizing we're just putting everybody in the same position. We're working everybody towards the same target, and they're all experiencing pain relief when we do that. And so we're not saying, hey, this is right, do this. We actually reverse engineered what we think is right by helping people who squat with pain squat without it. Then what we did is we kind of doubled back on that and kind of helped ourselves understand, okay, well, when they squat like this, it doesn't hurt. What is going on under the hood that might be the reason why that's better for the body from the position of anatomy and biomechanics and how the body's knit together, okay? So I'm going to bring in Dr. Caden. He's going to replace me right here, and we're just going to walk through a couple of things from a couple angles that we see with the squat that can be really helpful for you if you're squatting and having pain and you're looking to get rid of that, minimize that, and then we'll walk you through what are all the things you need to consider if you want to make some really serious changes in what your squat looks and feels like. All right, so Caden's going to come in, and he's going to be our squatter here. And now Caden he could hold himself in a squat for hours probably, but we're not going to make him do that. We're just going to have him do a box squat and just pause at the bottom, but we're going to maintain good positions here. So a couple of things we're looking for in the squat is good feet position, good knee position, and then from a different angle, we're really looking at spine position, especially as it relates to low back pain. So go ahead and squat to the box, and you can see what's going on here is his feet are nice and neutral, and his knees are tracking outside the feet. So a lot of people that come to us with low back pain, we actually see the knees more right on top of the foot. Now, what you'll notice, let's get the arms out of here, is that even with the legs more straight in front, this actually comes and it takes a dive in angle here at the kneecap. And there are a couple of problems that we see here. When the knee comes in, that internally rotates the hip and it kind of slacks the whole joint, makes it a lot more stressful on the back because the hips aren't as engaged. The other is this vector load at the knee is responsible for a lot of knee pain. Secondarily, maybe third, is when the knee rolls in, you can see the ankle start to collapse in with it. So when we're looking at plantar fasciitis pain, Achilles pain, or even lateral gutter pain on the ankle, we always see this position is kind of front and center. And so what we noticed is that if we take this position and start shifting over into this position where the ankle is stacked right on top of the foot, the arch is not collapsed in, we start seeing plantar fasciitis go away, Achilles tendonitis go away, and this lateral gutter, this pinchy pain on the outside of the ankle also starts to dissipate. At the knee, what we notice is that quad tendonitis, patellar tendonitis starts to fizzle away immediately just by taking this tissue and removing this vector load from it and putting it in a position where now everything is in a straight line down through the quads. When we're looking at the low back, what we notice is that by taking the knee from here to here, it allows the spine to stay in a better position through much more depth in the squat. And that's because this position in the hip versus this one, there's just more natural access to range of motion and mobility from an anatomy perspective. The way the hip bones are knit together between the pelvis and the femur, they run out of room early when the knee is more in front, and they actually maintain more space when the knee is out here. Simple way that you can view this is raise the knee straight up to the front until you can't raise it anymore. Just note how high it goes. Then take it out to the side and notice how much higher the knee can go, just because you have that freedom inside of your frame and your structure. It has nothing to do with anything else but how your body is actually made. So these are some of the things we look for from the front, because we want the whole body in a great position, not just the spine. And it turns out that when we address the feet, the knees, and the hips, it drastically affects how the spine feels when you squat. Now, a couple of things that you really need to know. If you're gonna squat like that, it's gonna be very difficult if you have ankle limitations or hip limitations that prevent the knee from not only getting over the toes enough to keep your torso angle high, but also to be able to get the knee outside of the foot and create that rotation in the hip. All right, so if you have a really blocked up ankle, what we see a lot is go ahead and come back up. We'll shift this around here. And let's squat back to this side, and go ahead and go back to that squat position. So you can see right here, his shin angle is nice. The knee is probably even with the toes, but if you don't have that motion in the ankle, what's gonna happen is it's gonna verticalize your shin, and notice what happened to his torso angle. He's got a lot more pressure in his hamstring and hips, and his torso had to flatten out. Now, there's nothing wrong with this if this is the only position you've got to work with. But what we see happen most often is that when the ankles don't move, so the body can manage its center of mass, the hips go back, the shins stay vertical, and then we end up getting into the round spine position much earlier. And, you know, some camps will say it's okay to have a round spine when you squat, and your spine should be able to get round. It's certainly safer to get round down here in the bottom position. But what we've noticed is that when people have pain at the bottom of a squat in a round position, and we get them to the bottom of a squat in a more neutral position, they don't have pain. So it's not that we think anything is wrong with spine flexion. We've just noticed after lots and lots of clients that if there's pain with flexion, squatting with the better spine position has less pain, and that's always good, right? So there's one other thing that we notice that really kind of runs rampant, especially if you move from like a front-loaded squat like a goblet to a back-loaded squat like barbell back squat. And that is when people go here, their first move is to extend. Now, this feels really stable for them to operate there, but it's a fake stability created by crashing all your little spine joints together, because we've actually taken and extended all those joints and compressed them down on each other. What happens, though, is when you early extend in the spine, you run out of room early in the hip, and that forces that rounding of the spine even earlier than if you were to start in a good spine position. Now, we're not going to get caught up in can you extend and can you flex, is it good or is it bad? We're just saying when people do extend early and then they butt wink early, when we have them not do that, it stops hurting when they squat. And that's what we're after, is to help people not hurt when they squat. And so the keys to that is it's really challenging to retrain how you initiate your hinge. So get yourself on video, and if you notice the hips are moving and the barbell is staying in the same position, then you're wasting a bunch of energy. You're extending the spine rather than hinging the hip, okay? And so what you need to watch out for is that early extension is definitely going to lead you into an early flexion at the bottom. And when we back our way into what's going on with the anatomy and the biomechanics behind why we see people having so much pain when we see that type of squat pattern, It's due to the nature of how the disc takes compression. They are very, very, very well suited to handle that compression. Where it becomes a little more dicey is when you compress the disc with load on top, and then you flex and extend while you have the load on top. This is where we see the annular rings of the disc start to wear out over time. A lot of people will say it's wear and tear or it's overuse, which we don't agree with. We just think it's misuse is a better term. If you use the body in the way it's designed to be used, we see incredible feats of endurance and strength and all kinds of stuff. So if you're squatting with pain, a couple things to check for is, what does it look like from the front? Are you getting into strong, stable positions with the ankles, the knees, the hips? And then from the side, can you maintain that good position in the spine? And if you can start to move towards those targets closer and closer and closer, I would almost guarantee that you're probably going to start feeling better, even if you don't fully address the mobility limitations that you've got kind of living underneath. Because remember, the way you move is a reflection of how all your joints can work together. And if you're missing ankle range of motion, or you're missing hip mobility, or even if you're missing shoulder motion, if you can't get your shoulders here for a barbell back squat, you have to arch to be able to get in that position. So there's so many things to consider, even in the upper half, if your lower back hurts when you squat. So if you want some more information on how we can help you self-identify, do your joints move enough? Yes or no? Ankles, knees, hips, pelvis, spine, shoulders, elbows, wrists, hands, and neck. If you want more information on how you can do that, reach out to us, drop us a comment below, DM us the word pain, and we can help get you connected to some solutions to help you identify what are those mobility restrictions you've got going on that are making your movement look like it looks. Because if we can change the way you move, we can change the way you feel. But to do that, we've got to understand what are all the weak links in your body, or maybe not weak, but stiff, forcing you into that movement pattern, so that we can create an accurate blueprint on what are the things you should actually address to be able to change the way your squat looks. And remember, pain is not a medical problem. Pain is a movement problem. And if movement is the problem, movement can't be the medicine, okay? We got to understand to a higher degree what's going on under the hood so that we can change the way you move, so we can change the way you feel. We'll see you later. Boop. I like when they go well.